So I was doing another video where I was removing the crust from bread, and I mentioned I'll just use these to make some breadcrumbs. Then I thought, why not leave the cameras rolling and I'll show you how to make seasoned homemade breadcrumbs. So here are those crusts from the bread. Now what I did was the oven had been going at 350 degrees for this other recipe I was making. All I did was put the crust of bread on this tray, turned the oven off, put these in the oven, and 45 minutes later, here they are. They're just dried out a little bit. They're not toasted or completely dried out. We don't need them completely dried out. I've even left these just sort of sitting out for several hours to dry out on their own, but if you have an oven, you can just pop it in there either like I did after turning it off, or maybe at 200 degrees for an hour or 2 hours. Really, it's just trying to get a little bit extra moisture out of there. But now, let's turn these into some seasoned breadcrumbs. So I have my food processor here. You could do this in a blender. Either one of those works really well. I just prefer the food processor. I'm gonna get my bread pieces in here. Break a few of these down first. Some more pieces in here. Get our last few bits in here. And at this time, I'm gonna add the seasoning, and these are gonna be some Italian breadcrumbs. Really, you can make these any flavor you want. What I'm adding here is about a teaspoon of Italian seasoning, just sort of from the jar, about a quarter teaspoon of kosher salt. You can add more or less depending on how much flavor you want in this. Just check in here, make sure we got nothing stuck. Those are looking good. Another couple quick pulses. And what I like to do is take that same tray that they were drying on in the oven, pour these out on there, let them dry on the counter for, I don't know, just maybe 15, 20 minutes. Spread them out. If you wanted to, you could put this in the oven for like half an hour, sort of that same warm oven, get it up to 350, turn it off, pop it in there, and these will dry out even more. But for me, this is about what I like. I'm gonna be using these tomorrow to make some meatballs. Don't generally store these very long. I'm sure, you know, in a sealed container, they'd last for a few days, but I like to use these right away. So generally when I'm gonna make breadcrumbs, it's because I'm gonna use them. Let's just get a little taste of these herbed breadcrumbs. Got that nice Italian seasoning flavor on them. You could go heavier, lighter, or no seasoning at all. Great thing about this is you can customize this to the flavor you want. So that's how I make homemade breadcrumbs, seasoned breadcrumbs. This is a great use for the crusts of bread if you're not going to use them, or whole pieces of bread, especially if they're maybe about to go stale. You're going to get rid of them or you don't know what to do with them. Turn them into breadcrumbs. Fry them out a bit in the oven, get them in the food processor with some seasonings if you want. You've got breadcrumbs.